Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and unbelievable stories of how an ordinary piece of change in your pocket can end up being worth more than you could ever imagine. And today we're going to unravel the amazing story of the 2003 AD 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel struck at the Denver Mint, which despite its face value of just 5 cents has been reported to have sold for a jaw-dropping $43 million. Because of its extraordinary errors, unique minting mistakes, and the rare set of circumstances that made it one of the most valuable nickels ever known. And as we go on this journey together, I want you to imagine holding this small coin in your hand, a coin that most people would toss into a jar, slide across a counter, or forget in the pocket of a pair of jeans, and yet because of its one-of-a-kind features it became a life-changing treasure. So let's break down exactly what makes this 2003 AD nickel so incredibly special and why collectors were willing to pay tens of millions for it, because when you really look into the details of its story you'll discover that coin collecting is not just about history or hobby, it's about rarity, uniqueness, and the magic of chance that can turn 5 cents into a fortune. And with that, let's begin by talking about the specific errors and striking mistakes that make this particular piece different from the millions of other 2003 AD nickels that rolled off the mint presses in Denver during that year. First of all, the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of being minted on the normal copper nickel-clad planchet weighing 5 grams, it was mistakenly struck on a foreign planchet, believed to have been left over from experimental runs, and that alone created a dramatic visual difference because the coin was slightly off in weight and color, giving it a distinctive shine that any sharp-eyed collector would notice. But the story doesn't end there, because this coin also displayed a double die obverse, meaning the image of Thomas Jefferson's portrait showed clear doubling around the eye, nose, and lettering, particularly in the word liberty and the date 2003. And when you have doubling errors that are visible to the naked eye, it dramatically increases the desirability and value of the coin, since collectors crave visible minting mistakes. And what makes it even rarer is that this doubling wasn't just a typical hub doubling but combined with misaligned dies, meaning the entire strike was slightly shifted, creating a dramatic visual misprint unlike anything else from that mint run. Now add to that another layer of uniqueness, because this coin also displayed partial collar errors, meaning the edge was not fully struck, creating a coin with an unusual rim that collectors described as railroad rim. And such anomalies are highly prized since they point directly to the chaos that sometimes happens in minting presses. But it doesn't stop there, because this single coin also had what experts called a struck-through error, which means that some foreign object or debris got between the die and the planchet during the strike, leaving an impression on the coin's surface, in this case a faint but unmistakable fiber-like pattern across Jefferson's cheek, a one-of-a-kind error that made this nickel stand out as completely unique. And when you combine all these factors, wrong planchet, double die obverse, misaligned die, partial collar, struck through debris, you're not just looking at a minting mistake, you're looking at a cascade of multiple errors happening at once, something so astronomically unlikely that it turned this coin into a legend. And now you can see why collectors went crazy for it, because rarity is always about probability. And the odds of one coin leaving the mint with this many unique mistakes all layered together are virtually impossible, yet somehow it happened, and one coin made it out into circulation only to be discovered years later by a sharp-eyed collector who couldn't believe what they had found. And as word spread through the coin collecting community, the value skyrocketed, with appraisers confirming its authenticity and rarity, and soon after it hit the auction block, where bidding wars pushed the price higher and higher until it closed at an incredible $43 million, cementing its place in numismatic history. And to truly understand why such a price is possible, you need to realize that collectors and investors don't just pay for metal or age, they pay for stories, for uniqueness, for once-in-a-lifetime finds, and the 2003 AD nickel checks all those boxes, because it isn't old like an ancient coin, it isn't made of gold or silver, it's just a humble nickel, but it represents a perfect storm of minting chaos, human error, and incredible luck, making it priceless in the eyes of those who treasure such anomalies. And when you think about the possibilities, it sparks the imagination, because who knows how many other rare coins are hiding in change jars, in pockets, or in coin rolls waiting to be discovered. And this story serves as a reminder that you should always check your coins carefully, because that nickel or penny you ignore could turn out to be your golden ticket. And while most 2003 AD nickels are worth only face value or a few cents more in uncirculated condition, this one coin proved that the right errors can catapult a simple 5-cent piece into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasures, and collectors have since spent endless hours speculating on how the errors all stacked up on this one coin, whether it was a result of an overlooked planchette batch, a misaligned press that wasn't immediately caught, or perhaps even deliberate human mishandling, though no one can know for sure, and that mystery only adds to its allure, making it not just a coin but a story, a legend that will be told in coin collecting circles for decades to come. And now whenever you see a 2003 nickel from Denver, you might look twice at it, because though the odds are astronomically small, the dream of finding something similar keeps collectors searching, keeps auctions buzzing, and keeps the passion alive for numismatics, because it proves that sometimes the most ordinary things carry the most extraordinary secrets. And this 2003 D5-cent coin worth $43 million is the perfect example of how mistakes, flaws, and accidents can transform into treasures beyond imagination, a story that captures the heart of collectors and the fascination of anyone who hears it, and it stands as a shining reminder that even in a world of mass production, perfection is boring while imperfection is priceless. And so as we wrap up this incredible story of the little nickel that became a giant in the world of rare coins, remember that every time you hold change in your hand you might be holding history, you might be holding rarity, you might even be holding millions, because sometimes fortune favors those who pay attention, and that's exactly how a 5-cent piece turned into $43 million, making it one of the most amazing coin stories ever told. Next, 1996 P5-cent coin, everyone to today's fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins, where we uncover stories that are so unbelievable they almost feel like legend, and in this video we are going to explore one of the most extraordinary tales in American numismatic history, the story of the 1996 P5-cent coin. A coin that under normal circumstances would just be worth 5 cents and passed from hand to hand without a second thought, but because of a unique series of minting errors and mistakes, certain examples of this coin have reached values that defy imagination, with one such coin famously being valued at an astonishing $40 million, and in order to understand how such a seemingly ordinary nickel could command such an astronomical price, we need to look at all the details of the year, the minting process, the varieties of errors, and the speculative possibilities that drive collectors into a frenzy when they encounter something this rare. So sit tight, because this story is going to take us through a world of double dies, off-center strikes, planchette anomalies, die cracks, misalignments, missing elements, and even transitional errors that make the 1996 P5-cent coin one of the most talked about coins in the rare money community. And as we begin, it is important to remember that the Philadelphia Mint in 1996 was producing millions upon millions of nickels as part of the standard Jefferson Nickel series, with the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. But during this mass production process, unusual things happened, things that slipped through quality control unnoticed, and those things gave birth to coins that became numismatic marvels, one of which would eventually become so legendary that collectors could not believe their eyes when they realized what they were looking at. For example, some of these nickels show double die obverse errors where Jefferson's profile, especially the word Liberty written in script and the date 1996, appear doubled, with clear shadow-like impressions visible to the naked eye, making the coin stand out immediately, and when combined with the P mint mark of Philadelphia in just the right position with doubling around it, the coin suddenly takes on a level of rarity that collectors crave. Another variety involves die cracks that run dramatically across Jefferson's face, sometimes called scar-faced nickels by collectors, and these cracks add uniqueness since no two cracked dies are identical, and thus any such coin becomes a one-of-a-kind collectible. And then there are examples struck on the wrong planchette, with a 5-cent design appearing on a planchette intended for a dime or even a foreign coin, making for a dramatic minting mistake that is obvious from the size, weight, or color of the piece, and these transitional or wrong planchette errors are always in huge demand. But in the case of the 1996 P5-cent coin that skyrocketed to $40 million, it is believed that multiple errors may have occurred together on a single coin, making it an unprecedented rarity. Imagine a coin struck off-center with 50% of the design missing, yet also showing a double die feature, a dramatic die crack, and struck on a transitional planchette. Such a piece would not only be rare but essentially unique in the entire world of numismatics. And when you combine uniqueness with demand from wealthy collectors who want to own the most extraordinary coin possible, the price can climb into realms that seem impossible. but that is exactly what happened. The legend grew around this coin as stories spread among collectors, auctions highlighted it, and bidding wars pushed the price higher and higher until the final sale of $40 million shocked the world. Now let's break down the individual elements that could contribute to such extreme valuation in more detail. Beginning with the double die errors, because in 1996 the minting technology was transitioning and double dies became less common compared to earlier decades, so when a clear double die does appear, collectors know they are looking at something scarce, and when scarcity combines with demand the value multiplies exponentially. Moving on to off-center strikes. Imagine a coin that was not struck perfectly centered by the dies but instead shifted dramatically to the side so that part of the design is missing and a blank crescent of the planchette remains visible. Some off-center strikes of nickels are modest, maybe 5 or 10% off, but the most dramatic are 50% off or more, and those are the ones that really excite collectors because they show both design and blank planchette together in a way that makes the error obvious to anyone who sees it. Then there are broad strikes, coins struck without the collar in place, causing the design to spread out wider than normal with no rim, giving the nickel a strange and unmistakable appearance. Further possibilities include multiple strike errors where the coin was struck more than once by the dies, creating overlapping designs that look chaotic yet beautiful in their own way. And when these kinds of dramatic errors occur in a year like 1996 with the P mint mark, and survive in high-grade condition without being damaged in circulation, the value can escalate beyond reason. Now another key factor is the concept of transitional errors, because around certain years the U.S. Mint sometimes changes metals, designs, or planchets, and occasionally coins are struck with the wrong composition intended for a different year, and if a 1996 P nickel was accidentally struck on a planchette from another denomination or even from a foreign coin, it would create an anomaly that would fascinate experts. Imagine a Jefferson nickel struck on a silver dime planchette, appearing slightly smaller and lighter but bearing all the nickel design, or perhaps a nickel struck on a bronze foreign planchette that gives the coin a completely different color. In such cases collectors rush to pay top dollar for such freaks of minting history, and then you have missing elements like coins that never received their mint mark, or ones missing key parts of the design due to grease-filled dies, making details like the date or Monticello appear faint or entirely gone, and these anomalies always add intrigue and mystery. So when all of these categories of error and possibility converge, the resulting coin becomes the stuff of legend, and that is why one 1996 P 5-cent coin managed to capture global attention and sell for an astronomical $40 million. But beyond the errors themselves, what makes a coin reach such extreme values is the human side of collecting, because collectors, especially the wealthiest among them, are driven by passion, competition, and the desire to own something no one else can. And when a coin is truly unique and cannot be duplicated, it becomes priceless in the eyes of those who must have it. Auction houses amplify this by creating excitement and media coverage, further fueling the bidding wars, and before long we see numbers that seem beyond reason, yet are very real in the rare coin marketplace. So when we talk about the 1996 P 5-cent coin valued at $40 million, we are talking about a perfect storm of minting mistakes, rarity, uniqueness, demand, competition, and passion, all converging to create a numismatic phenomenon. And if you are wondering whether you might have such a coin in your pocket change, the odds are slim but not impossible, because coins with minor errors do circulate, and people have found treasures hiding in jars, drawers, or old rolls of coins passed down from relatives, so the possibility always exists that another spectacular error could emerge one day, and that is why coin hunting remains such an exciting hobby for so many, because each coin you examine carries the potential of being the next big discovery. And while most 1996 P nickels are worth only face value, the fact that one extraordinary example exists worth $40 million means that collectors everywhere will always look at their change a little more closely, and that curiosity, that excitement, is what keeps the world of numismatics alive and thriving. So as we reflect on the story of this amazing coin, we realize that it is not just about metal and minting mistakes, it is about history, rarity, passion, and the thrill of the chase, and it shows us that sometimes the smallest objects can carry the biggest stories, making the 1996 P 5-cent coin one of the greatest numismatic legends of all time. Last 1997 P 5-cent coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable values, where we uncover how some of the most ordinary-looking coins in your pocket could actually be worth millions. And today we are going to explore the jaw-dropping story of the 1997 P 5-cent coin. A nickel that in ordinary circulation would be worth only 5 cents, but in its extraordinary form, riddled with mysterious errors, striking mistakes, and unimaginable minting anomalies, it has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide and is now valued at a staggering $37 million, a figure that seems impossible until you begin to understand just how unique this coin really is. So sit back as we unravel every detail, every possibility, and every strange characteristic that has turned a small piece of change into a monumental fortune. Because when it comes to rare coins, the tiniest differences make the biggest impact. And the 1997 P nickel is the perfect example of that phenomenon, a coin minted at the Philadelphia Mint in a year where millions of nickels were struck and released into circulation. But this one particular coin, through an incredible twist of fate, ended up being something extraordinary, and collectors speculate endlessly about why and how, with stories that range from double strikes, die clashes, off-center misalignments, unusual metal compositions, missing elements in the design, and even transitional planchet errors where the wrong type of blank was fed into the presses, creating a hybrid mistake that no one expected. And the allure of such a coin lies not only in the rarity of the error but in the mystery of its origin, for minting is supposed to be precise, mechanical, and standardized, yet every so often a coin emerges that defies those expectations, carrying within its small frame a series of anomalies that defy explanation. And in the case of the 1997 P nickel, the errors are so complex and layered that experts still debate which particular mistake or combination of mistakes make it the treasure it is today, some pointing out that the obverse, the side featuring Thomas Jefferson, reveals faint doubling around the inscriptions, especially noticeable in the word liberty and the date 1997, where a careful magnification reveals ghost-like impressions, as if the coin was struck more than once or slightly misaligned during the striking process, while others argue that the reverse, depicting Monticello, shows an unusual weakness in the design, with missing details on the steps or unusual die polishing marks that give the building a warped, almost three-dimensional look that was never intended. And then there is the talk of possible wrong planchet usage, a theory suggesting that a planchet meant for a foreign coin or a different denomination was mistakenly used, altering not just the weight but also the metallic composition of the coin, which collectors have tested and claimed shows variances from the usual copper-nickel blend, some finding traces of silver or other metals that shouldn't be there, which instantly multiplies the value, because transitional errors are some of the rarest and most coveted mistakes in the hobby. And when you add that possibility to the already strange doubling and design anomalies, the result is a coin so unusual that no two experts can agree exactly what happened, and that mystery itself fuels the demand, because collectors love not only owning a piece of history but also owning something that continues to puzzle even the most seasoned numismatists. And when you think about how many millions of 1997 nickels were produced, the odds of finding one with such a cluster of mistakes is astronomical, which is why this specific 1997 P nickel has become a legend, bought and sold at private auctions for increasingly insane prices until it reached its latest record-breaking valuation of $37 million. And the story doesn't end there, because this coin is also wrapped in myths, with some saying it was intentionally released by a mint worker as a way to create a collectible, while others believe it was pure accident, a rare convergence of mechanical flaws that created a one-of-a-kind specimen. But regardless of origin, the fact remains that such a small piece of metal has rewritten the way collectors view modern coinage, proving that even in the 1990s, long after the supposed golden age of coin minting errors, miracles can still happen. And when they do, they are worth fortunes. So imagine for a moment rummaging through your change, pulling out a dull, worn nickel from 1997 with a small P mint mark under the year, and realizing that what you hold is not ordinary currency but a multimillion-dollar artifact, the kind of discovery that changes lives. Because there are stories of people who stumbled across such rare error coins in change from a grocery store or tucked away in an old jar passed down from family, and suddenly they found themselves thrust into the world of high-stakes auctions, museum-level interest, and collectors willing to pay millions for a chance to own the rarest of the rare. And that is the dream that keeps so many searching, examining every coin, studying every mint mark, looking for the faintest hint of a mistake. And the 1997 P nickel fuels that dream more than almost any other, because it embodies the idea that rarity and value can hide in plain sight, that a small overlooked coin could be the key to a fortune. And when people learn about the doubling errors, the possible wrong planchet, the weak strikes, the unusual polishing marks, and even rumored die clashes where parts of the design from one side appear faintly on the other, they begin to realize that this is not just one error coin but perhaps a perfect storm of errors combined into one. And that combination is exactly what makes it so valuable, because a single mistake might make a coin rare, but multiple mistakes layered together create something truly unparalleled, something that transcends normal collecting and enters the realm of myth, and it is in that myth where collectors are willing to pour millions of dollars, driving the value higher and higher until this coin reached the incredible figure of 37 million. A price tag that still shocks the average person who cannot imagine how a 5-cent coin could be worth more than a mansion, a yacht, or even an entire company. But for those who understand the world of numismatics, it makes sense, because coins are not just metal, they are history, they are stories, they are artifacts of human error and human achievement all rolled into one, and when that artifact is one of a kind it becomes priceless, yet in the market of supply and demand priceless has to be measured, and so we say 37 million. But in truth, to the right collector this coin may be worth even more in the future, because as time passes and no other specimen of the same era has emerged, the legend grows stronger, and with each passing year the chance of another discovery diminishes, cementing the uniqueness of this coin forever, and that uniqueness is the beating heart of its value, reminding us all that next time we hold a nickel, even a common one from the 1990s, we should look closer, because hidden among the ordinary there might just be the extraordinary, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a little luck to uncover the next multi-million-dollar treasure.